everyone. I hope everyone's doing really well and welcome back to our channel. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Jess, the director of Jessica May Design. We are an interior design studio based in the Northwest in the UK, and we specialise in luxury residences and commercial properties. So if you didn't get a chance to watch our last video, we did release a video a couple of weeks ago all about our process and who we are. I briefly introduced you to my incredible team and just kind of generally gave everyone an overview of how we work and how we sort of approach our projects and what our kind of process is, all the kind of good stuff. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that, we will pop the link to that video in the description. But starting with this video today, I really wanted to do this video because I get asked this question a lot, a variant of this question, and that is, what was my journey and how did I come to how did I enter the industry, what sort of route I chose into the industry, and ultimately how I created a business from starting it on my own in my spare bedroom to a business that a year and a half, 2 years later had a team of 10. So I thought I would cover all of that in this video, but also give you, if anybody's watching this who is wanting to know a little bit more about how to enter the industry, a few different ideas, a few different routes in, I thought I would cover all of that as well, and then just some general kind of top tips for starting your own business. So we are actually filming this in between Christmas and New Year, I forgot to say. So by the time we get a chance to actually edit and release this, it's going to be the new year. So happy New Year, and let's get started. So my personal journey. So I'm going to really briefly rewind about 14, 15 years just to give you some context on kind of how I got here. So when I was in high school, I was very much a kind of mid-range student. I wouldn't particularly say I was a high achiever. I wouldn't particularly say I was, very bad. I just was very much in the middle. I really excelled in things that I really enjoyed doing, but then really failed at things that I didn't enjoy doing. And I think that's very much a tone for creatives, I think. So I went from high school and then I went to Marple College. So failed my first year because now in hindsight, I know why, but back then I really did think that I tried and, I was really annoyed at failing. But yeah, so I had to resit my first year. So about 3 months into my first year, I was going exactly down the same path. I just wasn't enjoying it. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be learning what I was learning, and it just wasn't, I wasn't excited. I wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. I was very disinterested. And as I say, whether I knew myself this well at the time or whether it's just now, but I know when I'm going to be good at something because I am very enjoyment focused. So if I enjoy it, I know I'll be good at it. So I think about 3 months in, I just decided to drop out. It wasn't doing anything for me. I felt like I was literally wasting my time. So I dropped out and I got a job at a company called Kelsa Truck Products. So they are a local company in our village, and they sell truck parts. And that was my first ever proper job. I sort of distinctly remember after my 21st birthday, I found the diploma in interior design. I found a diploma in interior design. I did my diploma with the Interior Design Institute. They are an Australian company. Really enjoyed my diploma, and then I went on to study a degree with the National Design Academy, which they're an English company. They're based in Nottingham. A little bit of a kind of backstory. So I am kind of half qualified in so many things. So I was studying to be a nail technician. I've done a little bit of work on hairdressing. I've everything you can possibly imagine I've studied, and I've tried to do it, and it's not for lack of trying. I just really couldn't find my thing. I couldn't find what it was that I was so interested in and so in love with. So when I found this diploma, my friends and family were just like, oh, okay, here she goes, another one to add to the checklist, half qualified interior design. I took a little bit of time and sort of worked out if the degree was for me. I sent my portfolio to, oh my God, an absolute mammoth amount of designers and didn't hear anything back to anybody. Obviously, it was just my diploma portfolio. At the time now, I understand why I didn't hear back from anyone, but at the time I thought, oh yeah, diploma, that's great. Like, I'm really good at it. I did really well. So yeah, after a little bit of kind of thought and, what I wanted, I'm very much an all or nothing person. So I knew that I needed to do the degree. I knew that, after looking at kind of job adverts and things in the industry, I knew that I needed a degree. So I went and studied the degree. I adored it with all my heart. I love the degree so much, and just a huge shout out to the National Design Academy. If you are looking to do a degree, they're amazing, absolutely amazing. I loved the diploma with the Interior Design Institute, and it was a really good price. Obviously, back then it was like 8 years ago. But when I bought it, it was roughly, I think, around about £600. I'm not sure if it was the same now, but it's a really affordable price. The only thing I would say about the Interior Design Institute, I really enjoyed it, and I thought, the diploma was great. It really just kind of ignited this proper spark that I had for this industry. But it was a little bit frustrating that it was in Australia. So I think if I could choose again, I would definitely do it with the National Design Academy, because they obviously do a diploma before the degree. So I officially kind of finished my foundation degree in the May of 2020. And then I had all intentions of going on and doing the BA for the final year, and I actually even considered doing the Masters as well, so that was another 2 years. But after I finished my foundation degree, I took a little bit of time out because I got a project. So I had a job alongside this, and I worked at an incredible company called TL Contracts, who we still work with a lot today. They are an amazing company. They specialise in art and decor mainly for commercial interiors. So I learned so much through them. My boss, Lindsay, was literally one of the best people on the planet, and again, learned so much from her management style and the way that she kind of approached, managing a team is something that I've now very much carried into my business. She's just an amazing human being, and I'm forever grateful for her and how much she supported me and kind of nurtured me in my early days of being in this industry. So I had a project, and I decided to take a little bit of time out to complete this project. It was a full house. It was a 4-bedroomed house in a place called Romley, which is again near Cheshire. And one of the client has actually become like one of my dearest ever friends. And basically, the long and short of it is I got a lot of people asking me to help them with their homes whilst I was kind of sharing what I was doing on this project. So yeah, that's where it started. I think it was officially the November of 2020 when I started the business officially. Obviously, I was doing a couple of bits here and there before that, but it was just before, obviously, Christmas of 2020 when I thought, do you know what, I can do this, I can actually make a business out of it. So I started my business in the midst of COVID, which was, everyone sort of says like, God, that must have been so hard, but it actually wasn't. I feel like it was probably the best time I could have started my business because everybody was at home. Everyone was sat reflecting on the spaces that they live in. By I think it was the June of 2021, I hired my first member of staff and got my first little studio. I'm going to try and find some pictures of the studio because it was so gorgeous. I loved it so much. It was a tiny little room, and we shared it with like a security company. So we felt very safe. So it was above a cafe, and it was so cute. I loved it so much. And then the November of 2021 was when we got the new office. So we're still here today. So we've been here where we are now for just over 2 years. We're a team of 10, and we were a team of 10 from roughly about the March to April of 2022. So yeah, the business just went from here to really quickly. And again, I think People say to me like, what's your secret? You know, how did you do that so quickly? And I wish I had an answer for this, but I genuinely don't. It's been an absolute whirlwind of lessons and excitement and stress and all sorts. And it's just, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been incredible. And I've learned so much about business over the past 3 years. So from starting on my own in the May of 2020, but obviously officially November of 2020 in my own spare bedroom, and then having 1 member of staff, we're now here in December 2023 with a team of 10 in a beautiful studio and with the most projects that I only dreamt of 3-4 years ago. So yeah, super lucky. And yeah, in a bit of a nutshell, that's my journey. That's my personal journey. So if you did make it through all that journey, well done, thanks. Thank you for being interested to watch however many minutes that's going to be. So moving on to my kind of tips and a bit of a guide for people in different circumstances and, you know, different parts of their life who are wanting to get into this industry. The diploma and the degree are the typical route. They're I wouldn't say the easiest route, but they're the most obvious route into the industry. Just taking a minute to kind of give people some ideas of ways that you can get into this industry if you don't have the option of the degree are, if I was in your boat and I didn't have an option to go to university, or I didn't have an option to do a degree, I would do the following. So I would do a diploma first because, as I say, it's cost effective, it's not a huge amount of money. And you will learn so much from that diploma just about yourself and if you do love this industry. What I would then do is I would, as I say, when I was doing my studies, I worked so much for free, so much for really cheap. So I would do that 100%. There was so much that, you know, I gained from doing that. So the experience side of it, just get yourself as many projects as you can. This next one was critical, absolutely critical to my success and where I am now, is off my own back, I learned 2 key softwares. I learned SketchUp and AutoCAD. Those 2 softwares are, if you're wanting to go into the industry, they will do absolute wonders for you and kind of getting you in there. Those are industry standard. AutoCAD is, I think, more industry standard than SketchUp. Personally, we use SketchUp more than we do AutoCAD. So personally, I would say SketchUp. The main reason for that as well is not only is it an industry standard, but you're literally creating designs in 3D models. So that gives you the option and the kind of opportunity to show people what you're capable of, even if the project is hypothetical. So that's something on a side note that I would always say, make sure you know those 2 softwares and make sure you know them well. Really commit yourself to learning them properly. Photoshop is also a really big standard. And then I would create yourself a portfolio. So through the projects that you've managed to gain through, as I say, through people allowing you to do them, and also through hypothetical projects. You know, a really good way is to get your family, you know, to get you in the mindset of working to something that is actually real life. Get one of your friends or your family members to give you a brief, you know, rather than just you kind of designing what you like to design. Get them to give you a brief and specifically ask them to give you something that's out of your comfort zone. That'll be really good for your kind of your development and, you know, your evolution as a designer. And it sounds really long and really, but it has to be long. You know, you're not going to walk into this industry, into either a job or setting up your own business within a couple of months. It has to be a really long process of you learning a lot. So I would definitely try and get yourself a part-time job in the industry in some capacity, depending on obviously what route you're then wanting to take. So if you want to go down the business route, I'll cover that in a second. If you're wanting to get a job, I would create yourself a portfolio of all of the projects that you've done and all of the projects that you've done hypothetically. Show people what you are capable of. I would make yourself a knockout cover letter, and I would say, you know, even if you're techie enough to do your own video, to do a video of yourself, literally what I'm doing right now, tell people why you deserve a chance. I would hire somebody on that basis as an intern first, so an unpaid intern, or a minimum wage intern to make sure that, and I would hire them on a 3-month contract, so I could actually see, because ultimately if you were coming to me and asking me this, you're in essence asking me to take a risk and to see what you're capable of. So that's probably the dynamic that people will hire you on. Take whatever it is that comes to you, take it, graft, work your hardest, and slowly, and if you can make your mark in that company, they won't let you go, because good people are incredibly hard to come by. So that's the route I would say if you're wanting to kind of enter the industry first, either start the degree or kind of go off on your own and crack on trying to get your own projects. So those are the 2 routes that I would say is the best to do in this industry. Moving on to if you're wanting to start your own business, regardless of your circumstances, if you want to go straight into a business, as I say, rule number 1, learn the softwares, because what you're asking people to do, particularly when you first start out, is you're asking them to trust you based on a very, very small portfolio. Next thing, you can Google all of this, so I won't highlight it much, is obviously make sure that all of your liabilities in place, make sure that your business is registered, make sure that you have all the insurances, public liability, professional indemnity, all of those things you need to start a business. Immerse yourself in who is relevant now. So who are the big designers in the industry right now? Start kind of looking at what these designers are doing. What fabric companies are they using? What furniture companies are they using? Start to understand who is the kind of top players in this industry, and really kind of aim high, look at what they're doing and start making introductions and kind of introducing yourself to these companies, to start getting accounts with these companies and start building up a sample library. So another one is obviously set yourself a website, and in terms of the branding side of things, branding is a big thing. Branding is expensive to change, and also branding is a really big kind of telltale of what your business is and who your business is. So obviously my business is called Jessica May Design. This is me being completely transparent. I love my business name, and I wouldn't change it now, but I will be honest, I've considered changing the name of the business recently to Studio JMD, because my business now is so much more than just me, and I do kind of feel like that name, kind of sometimes I think having the name in the business name can sometimes make it look smaller than it is. So it's kind of a toss up, but then on the other hand, having the name in the business, it's more personable and it's more relatable, and it gives a kind of face to the name and a name to the face almost. So yeah, again, that's very much a personal preference. I would think about the name a lot, and I would also think about your logo a lot. What you're doing in the first sort of few months of you starting out is really kind of creating those foundations and those building blocks to you getting your first big project. Trust your gut. There were so many times in my business where I was like, for example, getting this studio was a really big thing for me. At the time, there was only 3 members of staff, and it was ginormous for what we needed it for then and for what we had and, what projects we had. But I just trusted my gut, and I knew how much potential this business had then. And the decisions that I made early on have now very, very much facilitated what we have now and where we are. And I know that if I was way more cautious and way more sensible back then, I probably wouldn't be here today. On the flip side of that, listen to the people that care about you. Don't go all guns blazing and just, a bull in a china shop. Time and effort to your business from you are free, but anything financial is a big decision. You have to, if you can start your business profitably at the very beginning, you're laughing. take risks that are calculated, but ultimately if your gut is telling you that this is the right thing to do, just go for it and do it. What's the worst that can happen? And you never know, it could be the best decision that you've ever made. So I think that's pretty much covered everything I wanted to get out there. I know this video is going to raise so many questions, so please do feel free to comment in the comment section, send me a direct message on Instagram, ask any pieces of advice, and also keep watching this channel because I will do loads more videos like this. The more questions that I get asked and the more kind of feedback that we get from these videos, I will then very much tailor the videos. Yeah, please do subscribe and do like the video, and as I say, please do comment. I love reading the comments and I really welcome any feedback and any form of, any different ideas that you guys have if there's anything specific that you want to see. The next few videos that we'll be doing are going to be much more kind of studio based, so you're going to see much more of the team. You're going to see a project tour of one that we completed just before Christmas. There's lots of exciting things coming. I hope everyone has a wonderful new year. And yeah, I'll see you all in 2024.